Hello there. Thank you so much once again for joining us at the Voices of Change podcast or the Voices podcast. Today I'm joined by Professor Rulisa. He's a renowned OBS gynecologist in Rwanda. He's a researcher in that field and he is a lecturer at the University of Rwanda. Today we are recording our second episode on the journey of maternal and child's health in Rwanda. But today we have a very serious topic that we want to ask him about to share his opinion, and that is the rampant question of contraceptives to 15 years old girls. So, thank you so much, Professor, for joining us once again to have this topic discussed. I mean, there is this question that most people have been really. It's been rampant in the country. Everyone is talking about because they want to they mingle it with culture and these other things, and it's hard to understand to a lay person. So, in your let me first phrase it well. The Minister of Health has proposed lowering the age of consent for contraceptive access to 15 to combat rising teenage pregnancies in the country. I mean, from your perspective as a chief consultant of OBS gynecology, I mean, what is your take on this?
Yeah, that's true. I think we have to go in the background before we critique or say anything about the policy. We need to understand why did the policy come. The policy come in usually we didn't have that policy before. We had it with a certain cutting age, and now it goes lower than that. It means the policy before it comes is coming to solve a problem. And what is the problem? The problem is teenage pregnancy is getting worse. So that's the thing. Now is the question is you want to know about the cultural challenges. Now teenage pregnancy is also not culturally acceptable. So you can't criticize something that is not also not culturally acceptable. So contraception comes to solve a problem that has failed culturally. I mean, North Rwandan culture also accepts teenage pregnancy. But beyond that, the culture has failed, parenting has failed, something else has to come in. I mean, it's not like you're just promoting contraception. You're coming to save a situation that has failed other existing measures. So that is where we have to look at it. We are not saying every girl, hey, come and take contraception. We are saying because these measures have failed and because girls are sexually active and that culture cannot control it and the situation in place have not managed to control it, that is why we say here is another option. Should you have failed on this, please take contraception, because the consequence of not taking contraception and still be pregnant are fatal. In my practice, I have seen several, not one, not two, young girls below 20 dying. We
Really?
bury them
That's bad.
because of being pregnant, because of not accessing services. They go for illegal or clandestine abortion, like we call them, and they end up losing their lives. Would any parent or anyone want that? Of course not. So if contraception can save a significant portion, why not? I mean, this is kind of firefighting. We are trying any means possible to save lives. It is about lives. It is about the future of these girls who try abortion and they die, or who become pregnant, give birth to babies, and their future quality of life is significantly compromised. They either leave school or their future prospects are lost.
So I love what you just say that culture has failed and parenting has failed. It's what is leading to the introduction of contraceptives. Because is it because we failed ourselves? So we let it other people solve it.
I can't say we have failed ourselves, and I can't say we are in different situations. We are in different settings. I am not saying culture, and I'm not saying this is breaking culture norms. It is I mean, many years ago, culture says you don't have sexual intercourse before getting married. Knowledge and about sex and exposure was not as rampant as it is. Even if you close your kid in your house, they would have access to sexual information on their phone. There's a lot. The world has changed, and we have to acknowledge the world has changed, and so we cannot keep using the tools we used 3 decades ago and expect them to work now. We have evolved. Things have changed, and I don't think that means being culturally wrong. It means being consciously aware of the situations where we are, and we can't ignore lives that are lost and the futures that are compromised.
What should we tell someone out there who is against these contraceptives? What is it that is really burning inside you that you think if they knew this, at least they would not continue
I would just ask them, what option do you have? Me, I am not saying just take contraception. I am saying, can we work together to save lives? These girls are having sex, no question about it, and no one is denying it. Now the question is, when they become pregnant, and what? That's the question. If you have another option that is not contraception, I'm happy to listen. But apparently, that's the only option we have for those who fail other means. That's what I can say.
As a researcher,
Yeah,
in the countries you move in,
Yeah.
you go to,
yeah.
what are they doing?
They are trying the same things, like we try here. And there's a significant amount of data that shows maternal mortality, like child pregnancy, has gone down in countries that embraced contraception for young ladies. There is data. It is scientific evidence. And people who have restricted it, there are some consequences.
I don't want you to speak as a politician on this, but I want to ask you, what are the side effects on a 15-year-old and on someone beyond 20 years old? Do they have the same effect?
Of contraception?
Yes.
Yeah, the same. It's just hormonal or non-hormonal based. The consequences are the same. The effects are the same.
Oh,
And I can tell you the consequences of being pregnant are way, way, way severe.
the consequences of being
Of
pregnant.
not taking it and you become pregnant, whether short term or long term in your life of that kid who gets pregnant, is uncomparable. Is way, way, way severe than having contraception.
Oh, wow. In your experience, what barriers do adolescent girls face in accessing reproductive health services, and how might policy adjustments help or hinder their ability to make informed choices?
I think one of them is culture. Even if people blame culture, we still have a strong culture. We still have a Rwandan culture that is there, that is hindering access to modern information. So some of these girls will fail to have access to family planning because culture says, hey, you can't go to family planning, you're a young girl. And they just fear to come. And I have heard the stories of my students who I go and teach in a medical school, and even in a master's level, I tell them, if should you fail and be pregnant, if you are sexually active, you should access family planning. And they say, but doctor, how do we go? I go in a clinic, they ask me, who's your husband? Are you married? And these are intimidating questions. So we've got to break these barriers. They have all these barriers. Number two is, how do we access family planning methods? Where is this information? Now the government is doing a lot of work, some projects specifically. I think Imbuto Foundation is doing something on youth corners, whereby these youth alone, without mixing to the level of their mothers, can go and have this information and have access to detailed information. Some of them are just very young. They don't even know how their bodies function. They need to go somewhere with a group of same age and listen to this and explore this information and hear about several options of contraception that are available.
Are there some policies so far that are still hindering that you think can also be adjusted?
I could say in Rwanda, policies are very progressive. now lowering age and accessing them is there. And I think most institutions are doing their best to make them accessible. But of course, we need then, like this law, if you ask any girl how many people know this, is very few. So I think what we need now is making sure that people are aware of these laws that are in their favor.
I want to know about the health workers. What are you telling health workers to do so that they can ease access to this? Because, as you said, in most cases, health workers make it difficult also to give it to these young people, and they keep asking. I mean, there are some health workers who are still culture in their minds.
Yeah, of course.
Who make it hard.
I won't mention a hospital, but one time I was doing consultation. No, not me, but one of my, I think, trainee went into a health facility. Now the files in a hospital, it says, what's your name, what's your age. If you go to obstetrics, they say, another line say, what was your husband's name, your address, that kind of thing. And so, and these people
that is
ask
intimidating.
Unconsciously, because the form was designed by someone without thinking. Someone can seek obstetric consultation without being married. And these healthcare professionals would insist, are you married? What is your husband's name? And so on. But if you ask them, what is the role of the name of your husband in this case? They don't know. Based on the form I just asked. And so we ask people, can we scrap of this? It doesn't help. It doesn't help your history. It doesn't help you to make a diagnosis of this case. It doesn't help, but it intimidates the other person. If it doesn't help, why do we do it? So these are some of the things that unconsciously healthcare professionals do or ask that becomes a barrier in the future. But if with training, with discussions, people go picking them and so on. It's like people who blame someone, oh yeah, why did you become pregnant? You should be careful. Yeah, come on. You can't ask these questions and expect more people to come to you tomorrow.
What would be your last words on this? I mean, because the law has not yet, I think the law, was it passed? No. On this, on contraceptives to 15 years old.
I think
it's still a struggle.
Yeah, but what I could say is that these things happen. Teenage pregnancy is a problem. And everyone should be aware that this is a problem. This is compromising the future of girls. Remember, these girls become pregnant and their life is compromised. And the boys who make them pregnant continue their lives. And this is compromising these girls' future. And anyone should be aware. Whether you pass the law or not, you should be aware that this is a problem. As a society, we should sit together and solve this problem.
I'm going to ask you a very personal question. You are a highly respected doctor in this country. Would you sit down with your children and advise them to use contraceptives if they can't hold themselves?
Yeah, of course. Of course. No question. I would talk about it.
Oh.
Yeah.
What are your last words to young people watching?
I would tell them to take care of their lives, know that their life is much, much better than the present, and so they cannot allow the current pressures to compromise the brilliant future ahead. So they should take care of their lives.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Thank you
so much for...
Thank you for having me.
Okay. Thank you so much, Doctor.